The revelation I had this week is that striving for balanced lifestyle may not be cutting it. I need to have a clear vision for what I'm doing, for why I'm doing it, and to understand why it's meaningful to me. So, today's episode, guys, we're going to break down the top 5 things we do if we started over today. We're going to break that topic down. We've got 4 more powerful action stats for you. We're going to run through it all. But this isn't necessarily a things that we did wrong. Some of them are. And we're going to break down some mistakes for each.
Speak for yourself.
Are they all? Are they all mistakes we made? I guess they certainly could be.
Somewhat, in some capacity, perhaps.
But I think you guys are gonna have a lot to take home with this, especially if you've been spinning your tires for the last couple months. You haven't seen progress in a while. Our hope is that this clarifies for you to some extent why, and at least one of these things you can take with you and apply to start changing the game and ramping things up and getting to that next level. So, without further ado, we can dive right into today's episode. We got a lot to spin through. So, the first one, I guess let's start with the mistake. The mistake being not tracking any workouts or data, kind of wandering through the gym. Tracking calories burned is another component we'll talk about, so tracking the wrong data. But let's start off with the first thing we do if we started over today, we track the data, follow a plan.
Yeah, I think something that happens when a lot of people first get into fitness or nutrition is they just kind of try to start somewhere, which is great. But I think a lot of people fall into the trap of like, let me just get to the gym and I'll just start like doing things. I'll follow this swipe workout that I saved on Instagram and so and so posts a video of their workout. So I'm going to just try to copy what their workout is. And maybe you're picking and choosing random workouts, or maybe you're not going in even with any type of workout and you're just kind of like, I'm just going to like do a few machines and leave. And that might work for a little bit until it doesn't. You're, still getting exercise in if you're doing it that way, but you are certainly not maximizing the progress that you could be making if you were like tracking and logging your workouts, your sets, had a plan to follow. And we're really trying to, from week to week, make sure that you were eliciting that progressive overload.
Can I jump in on that point real quick, that one specific point?
Sure.
This, especially if you're a newbie and you're getting those newbie gains, can give you the false pretense that it's okay. Like I'm crushing it. I'm doing random things because this, when I started my fitness journey, is what my gym like week would look like randomly walking in. What do I feel like doing today? How many reps do I feel like doing today? Does my knee hurt? Am I skipping a leg day and doing something else? But I was gaining strength and size so rapidly. I'm like, this, it doesn't matter. I can do whatever I want in here and I can keep crushing it. And if those of you, maybe you grew up as athletes, say you're 14, 15, 16 years old when you got in the gym, and that's kind of how you dove into this, you may have that kind of stuck in the back of your head that I can just go through and do these things and I'm going to get stronger. But even looking back, had I been following regimented plan, had I had a trainer or some kind of plan to follow on a week to week, month to month, and then, actual macro basis, I could have taken that so much further. And I had fantastic results when I first started, but it could have been even better if there was a strategy behind the nonsense and just showing up and going through the motions.
Yeah, when I started lifting, I like seriously lifting, I decided to do a bodybuilding competition because that was like the cool thing to do was to compete in bikini back in 2013.
You also grew up in the coolest gym in the state, at least.
Yeah, but to this point, like that was when I was a true beginner in the gym as far as like actually lifting. And I did that whole bikini prep without following a program at
That's
all.
wild.
Because I showed up to the gym and one of the other girls I was friends with would train with one of the other bodybuilder guys there, and he would bring us through workouts, and I kind of just tagged along to her workouts, and there was no program. Like we would show up and he would tell us a few things to do. Were we repeating certain movements and machines? Yeah, but there was no actual progressive overload based program, and that just goes to show, like if you look at my before and after pictures from when I started that prep to getting on the stage, it was incredible. Like I looked like a completely different person. I did not place well. I did not do well in the actual competition, but my actual transformation was pretty dang good. And then from that point until really like I met you, Josh, and started powerlifting and following an actual program, I plateaued. I stayed in that exact same spot for a good almost 2 years. And then once I started powerlifting, following a progressive overload based program, I wrote my own program at the time. I focused on, increasing weight or reps or sets or something each week. My physique changed even more drastic from the start. So just to prove your point, Josh, of how you almost have this like false perception of, well, I'm doing random workouts and it seems to be working. Like, yeah, it might. And then it stops. It completely stops. And until you actually start to implement progressive overload and following a program and tracking all of the right things, that's when you're going to start seeing progress. And during that time of when I was plateauing, the only thing I was tracking was how many calories I burned. So I had like a polar heart rate monitor with the watch at the time. The devices back then were not what they are now. I think it literally told me like how far I ran, maybe steps, and calories burned, and heart rate, obviously. And I would literally show up to the gym with the goal to, all right, let's burn 800 calories today. Let's burn 1,000 calories today. How can I get to that number? And I would just go hop from elliptical to treadmill to the rower to box jumps to sled pushes. Like I would just do random stuff specifically to burn the calories. And that's such a backwards way of thinking about training, and also just a very exhausting way of thinking about training. Like you're literally just there burning steam. You're not doing anything else. You're not getting much else from that except literal fatigue and exhaustion. I just remember leaving like drenched in sweat, super tired, and I thought that was like the best workout ever. And then when I
Like a badge of
transitioned to
honor to
actually
make
doing
yourself.
things, sorry, go ahead, Joelle.
I was just gonna say it was like a badge of honor to make yourself barf. Like
Yeah,
or burn
exactly.
1,000
Like,
calories, and then you'd be posting it
yes.
on Instagram like 1,000 calories burned.
Yeah. If you go way back,
Sounded just like that.
if you go way back to my beginning Instagram posts, I'm sure they're way back there.
Yeah.
That's what I posted, and it was like, how sweaty can you get? How hard can you work to burn the calories? And it clearly did not get me very far. So I think that's just another aspect of this topic that a lot of people tend to focus on, that your focus is in the wrong spot.
I will say, like, your powerlifting transformation was probably the most ridiculous transformation I've ever seen. And that was like following progressive overload and also understanding what intensity actually is, like going to the point of just shy of true failure and knowing what that is, because you have calculated numbers. Here's your percentage of your 1 rep max. Here's what you're supposed to be doing this week. And that can be such a mind fuck. Like, oh my God, I got to do this fucking weight for 7 reps, 8 reps, 9 reps, 10 reps, whatever that number was on the volume days. But rather than estimating intensity, oh, this is about a 7, about an 8, about a 9. Like, no, here's your 1 rep max, which you probably tested. Here are the numbers you're supposed to be following for this volume and this many sets, this many reps. It's almost like I don't think everybody needs to go through that, but like you had the ability to learn what that number actually feels like to take back with you to the rest of your training, and the results spoke for themselves.
Yeah, and it's funny because the results spoke for themselves when I first started powerlifting, and then again during my first postpartum phase after I had Kai, I hired a powerlifting coach at that point, one of my good friends, and she wrote the program for me, and I spent a good like 7 months training with her, just full blown powerlifting, trying to get strong postpartum, and it happened again. So just proof is in the pudding right there that it's not just newbie gains that will work for. It's no matter what season you're in. If you have a program and if you're tracking the weights and if you're pushing intensity high enough, you will see the results. Like it's science. That's how it works.
That's the one thing I miss about stim pre-workouts and Jack 3D and taking you to that psycho level is like, it's encouraging to not being in that phase of life. Because my thought is, if we can get back to training that hard, like entering psycho mode, pushing ourselves to that level, everybody's results are going to take it to the next level. Everyone's progress is going to take that next step up. And like, I think about my best physique, and internally I was an absolute mess, just horrible overall health. But externally, because I was training like that and I was eating a certain way, like I saw freaky results as well. And it's part of why I do so much for mindset work nowadays, is to get back to that level. Like, turn this on, turn this off. Like, I need that on when I need it, when I need to go ferocious, when I need to be in the gym, if something happened with family. But I also need to turn that off when I'm with family and things are nice, and we have to just be able to absorb the hits as they come without freaking out. Hey guys, real quick. If you've been listening and thinking, I need to start doing something for my health, but I don't have time for a full program, that is literally why we built the SDE Method app. It's a fitness app made for real people with real lives. Busy parents, working professionals, anyone juggling 100 things. You can get in, get a smart, effective workout in around 30 minutes, some even closer to 20 minutes, and log out knowing you made progress. You can finally take the guessing out of your workouts. We have workouts designed to be done at the gym or at home, and you get access to all of them when you sign up. As life phases change, you can pick a new one that aligns better with what you have going on right now. And one more thing, we are also qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. So just hit the app link in the show notes, start where you are, we'll help with the rest. All right, let's get back to the show. And that's why mindset is such a powerful tool. I know that's one mini tangent, but there's one other tangent because you were talking about trackables real quick, and this got my mind spinning. I've been wanting to talk
I have like
to Joelle
3
about this.
tangents that I've been holding in already.
I know.
Go ahead, Josh. Go ahead.
To Joelle, because this got me. You started this one, so now I am so intrigued with the Whoop. Since you sent that over and the things
man.
that they're measuring, and like,
I am.
I'm like, we had this conversation yesterday. I'm like, Aura seems like the general lifestyle, the general person who wants to focus on some insights, and Whoop is like the quote unquote biohackers, longevity people, the performance experts.
Really cool
it's
stuff.
really cool.
I know that. I don't remember if I sent you the post directly from Whoop or if
Yes.
it was from Doc. Okay, so when I was at the Forever Strong Summit, there was a speaker there, Dr. Kristen Holmes, who does specifically a ton of research on circadian rhythm. And she works with Whoop, like on sleep consistency, circadian rhythm stuff. And so I've been seeing her posting about all the new stuff coming out for Whoop and longevity and sleep consistency scores and circadian rhythm. And she presented all this incredible research on circadian rhythm and how like that is very much a root cause of so many health issues that we see today. And so now I've been like, all of her posts have been like on my feed of her and Whoop stuff. And I'm like, I'm getting kind of intrigued. I've always loved Aura, but I just don't know if I want to wear a bracelet.
I don't want to wear a bracelet.
I
I love the
know.
Aura ring. I love it. It's so convenient. I can sleep with it. I don't want to sleep with this stupid watch. I don't want to sleep with a bracelet.
No, I don't want to sleep with a
feel like a
bracelet on it. Like
bracelet
that's why I
might
stopped
be
wearing my
better than a
Apple
watch.
Watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like it might be better than a watch because there's no screen on it, right? It's just literally
Right.
just a bracelet. Yeah. So I feel like in that instance, it might be better. I don't know. Maybe I reach out to Whoop later and see if they'll.
Oh, I need you to reach out to someone else because I really want a red light wall, and I found a company. That's who I need you to reach out to first.
So a few things I wanted to circle back to. One, I'm jealous that y'all had newbie gains because my like real strength training journey, I would say, started like during my eating disorder, and I never really got those like good juicy newbie gains because I was just so underfed. But you guys brought up a really great point that newbie gains aren't really just for like when you're brand new to lifting. It could be when you change a training style. It could be when you're off for a period of time. I know you and I have both kind of loved the postpartum rebuild because it almost is like pretty fast, strong progress, not always like in the hypertrophy sense, but like your strength is constantly changing and getting better. And you have that kind of like newbie gains feel when you have a period of time off or a different change to your training style. So if you're like me and you didn't really get to reap the benefits of the newbie gains, just jumping back into training or a different style of training, or just if you go from doing the kind of hopping around the gym with no plan and then you switch to following a really regimented plan, you likely will still see those physiological changes that are similar to newbie gains. I don't remember what my other tangent was. Oh, I think I wanted to ask you when you said friend who wrote you a plan powerlifting, was that Rory?
No, it was Christina Myers. I don't know if she still does online coaching, but she was Lift Heavy Princess on Instagram.
Oh, I remember her. Yeah.
Yeah,
was
we powerlifted. We met at Raw Nationals when I competed back in like 16, and then I was like postpartum, and I think the app wasn't an app yet. We were just creating. It was MMC at the time, so it was just Excel sheets of our group.
Is that the show in Atlanta?
Yes. And I was like, I really just want to have someone else program for me. Like I was doing
Yeah.
so much programming for clients at the time and our what is now the app. And I was like, I don't even want to think about my own programming, but I want to do powerlifting. And I think it would be really cool to test my 1 rep maxes 1 year postpartum, which is what I did. And it was just a really fun journey. And I feel like I have like that
Cool.
itch right now to really lean into strength a little bit too, as much as I'm loving the running. Like I don't have an itch to run a marathon right now, but I have an itch to really build strength, which tends to happen at this earlier postpartum phase for me. Like strength will always precede the running stuff for me
Yeah.
personally. Like
What about an adventure race?
You
like
and these
a Tough Mudder.
obstacle races.
Yeah.
Or even the one my aunt sent, that one in Scotland? Like you
Oh,
race
that was like kayaking and like
running, kayaking. It might have been some swimming,
it was
hiking.
Not sure that's
bunch
gonna
of stuff
scratch
that
the
I don't
strength
do.
itch.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean,
so random. Brant says to me on like Saturday, we're just like watching a movie with the kids or something. He's like, I gotta ask you the most random question. You're gonna be like, where did that come from? I'm like, okay. He goes, did you know that Josh and Alessandra know Rory Patrizzo somehow? And I was like, yes, because her husband was my professor in college. So like
yes, I
I
do know
knew
that.
Rory and John, her husband. So he's like, I just saw a picture of Josh and Alessandra with Rory, and I'm just so confused.
Where was there a picture of us? I don't know if we have a
It must
picture,
have been
but
on Facebook because he's not on Instagram anymore. And he was like, I will like pop into Facebook like maybe once a week randomly just to like look at stuff. He's like, and I somehow saw a picture of Rory and Josh and Alessandra. I was like, oh,
I don't
I was
even know what
like,
he's
Did it
talking
maybe
say
about.
from a
where?
meet. I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe
But
from a
yeah,
meet.
I know Rory from powerlifting. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, just that whole
I was
era of
like, something about
powerlifting.
powerlifting. He was like, how do they
Yeah.
know each other? I'm like, something about powerlifting. That's all I know.
Um, no, speaking of the adventure thing, that's what the bucket list. So the bucket list family
Oh,
DM'd
yeah.
me a
Yeah.
couple
What
weeks
happened
ago
with that?
and wanted to invite us on like this. It was
You,
like a
right? You.
well, you would come with me. It would be like it's like a retreat for creators that they were looking to do. And like, it was on Kai's birthday weekend and we still had to pay to go. And like, it just wasn't the right time. But that's what it was. It was like a bunch of different, like crazy, like, I think it was like a white river rafting and like
Oh,
kayaking,
whitewater rafting. Yeah.
whitewater rafting,
That's a lot of fun.
kayaking, slack lining, like where you're up at like a cliff and like they have that little like basically a string connecting and you have to walk out and like you're safe but like you walk out between do you know what I'm talking about? Joelle looks confused. It's like
No,
a
count
zip
me out.
line almost, but you walk on
It's
it.
just weird. They make you do it naked. I don't understand that part.
That is not no. But it made me think of that. But yeah, I mean, I
That's
feel
fun.
like that's a good just tie in to show like strength comes first for all of these other things too. Like no matter if you want to run further and faster, no matter if you want to do a weird kayak race that Josh wants to do, like whatever it is, like strength to me always will come first because it will make all of those other things easier if you are training the right way. So if you're just doing the random workouts, like none of those things are going to get much easier unless you're implementing progressive overload.
Let's get you on American Ninja Warrior.
I'm too short for that.
They do have to
That's
make some
true.
like crazy jumps and stuff.
You have to be like tall,
And skinny,
skinny, and super strong.
like grip strength.
Yes. Like rock climbing
Yes.
strength.
Yep. That's the perfect person is the rock climber
I am
ninja.
not that person. I'd
We
be
were going for a
reaching
little
for
bit
the
in San
wall.
Diego.
All
I
right, we're
like
getting
rock
like way
climbing.
off on a tangent here.
All right, guys. So that was number one. Track data, follow a plan.
I
So
think
that you
wasn't calories burned one of them? Did we kind of cover two in there?
Yeah.
she touched it. She was the random workouts she was doing just
Yeah.
to hit 1,000. So that first of all, that number is not gonna be very accurate for those of you who are tracking that. It's just a general gauge. It's not the worst thing in the world, but don't live and die by that. But make sure you're tracking data, you're following a plan, and you can understand that progress because it's measurable. That's the main take home is you don't know where you're going if you don't know where you started and what's been happening along the way, and you can't make the most accurate decisions. Now, number two is something we have spent a little time explaining in recent months, and that's spending more time what we call gaintaining, but really this idea of being around maintenance. Now, the mistakes made would be forever dieting. And we're going to talk about both sides. Forever cutting, forever bulking, those are both going to be issues. And again, just skipping over that maintenance period where we misinterpret the word maintenance for no progress. That's kind of a mental hurdle that we all struggle with. So let's pass it over to Joelle. I know you had a lot to dive into on this one in the forever dieting culture.
Yeah, I think what ends up happening for a lot of people, I guess I could at least speak for myself. I don't know about everyone else, but when I first got involved in health, fitness, nutrition, the all that was really talked about at that time was dieting. Like if you wanted to be healthier, you dieted. If you wanted to look fitter, you dieted. If you wanted more muscle, you dieted. There was no talk of maintenance. There was no talk of reverse dieting or eating at maintenance or making sure you're eating enough to gain muscle. It was always conversations around eating less and getting enough protein. And yeah, for me, I just spent years and years and years in a deficit. And I wanted, like in my head, I wanted to be this like ripped bodybuilder, like Pinterest, ripped bodybuilder girls with their 6-pack abs and whatever.
Those were our superheroes growing up.
Your cap delts and whatever. And I was so convinced that the leaner I got, the closer I would be to looking like that. And I did get leaner and leaner, and I did have like a 12-pack, but I had no muscle on the rest of my body. Like I was so thin with barely any muscle. And I remember at the time being like, I don't understand. I'm doing all the right things. Like I'm training hard. I'm doing the 2 hours of cardio. I'm lifting weights. I'm barely eating. Like, why don't I look like that? But there just weren't people in the space the same way there are now who are like, hey, you can't live in a deficit forever. I feel like the industry has at least moved, I think, in a positive direction in that sense, where you don't only ever have people talking about dieting or being as lean as possible. But at the time, like 2012, 2013, like that's what it was. It was just you were dieting. You were doing bikini competitions. You were trying to get as lean as possible because that's what being fit, quote unquote, was. And I think that's kind of, I like to say I like accidentally found myself in an eating disorder because there was just not a ton of great information for anything other than dieting. Like if you were serious about fitness, it was a badge of honor to be like low calorie, 2 hours of cardio, crushing yourself.
How far into your journey, Joelle, did you make the correlation that this isn't dieting, this isn't healthy? Like I actually have an issue now that I have to deal with.
That's a great question. I was in denial for a long time. Brant and my parents were all like, this isn't healthy. You're not eating enough. And I'm like, I'm the one with an 8-pack and none of you guys have an 8-pack. So like, obviously I'm onto something here and you guys don't know what you're talking about. Like there was this ego associated with what I was doing and being like, well, I'm the one, like, even though I had so little muscle, I was shredded. And I was like, well, I'm shredded and you're not. Like, who are you? You're going to tell me I'm doing this wrong? Like, look at you. Like there was this gross ego associated with how I was. Interestingly, there was a coach who reached out to me. This was like before much online coaching was a thing, but there was this coaching company who reached out to me and was like, hey, we'd love for you to be a sponsored athlete for our coaching company and we'll coach you for free. And I was like, okay, I'll hear more about what they have to say about this. And I like got on a call with this guy and he prescribed sets of macros to me. And I was like, what is this? I've literally never seen this before, ever. And he went on to basically explain like your carbs, fats, and protein, and here's your calories. And like, you could kind of have whatever you want as long as it fits into these numbers for the day. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I haven't, what? He's like, yeah, like you want to fit a Pop-Tart into your, this was like starting to get into like the if it fits your macros era. He's like, yeah, if you want to, like eat a Pop-Tart and fit that into your, into your daily allotment of calories, like you can do that. And I don't think I really realized for years that I had a problem, to your initial question, Josh, but that like learning about macros in that very moment where I was like, well, no, like the Pop-Tart will make me fat. I'm not going to eat that. He'd be like, no. Like your body needs a certain amount of calories per day, and just like very simplistically explained like caloric balance, and like as long as you don't go over your calories, you can't gain weight. You stay under your calories or within your calories, like you just maintain where you are. That was such a new concept to me because I just had this awful, by this point, I had such an awful relationship with food and had so many food fears that completely transformed my relationship with food. And I think was the turning point of kind of what started to pull me out of the eating disorder, really was the education around food and exercise. And it's how I ended up like doing a master's in exercise science. Cause I was like, wait a minute, there's so much more that I actually don't know. And that's why I ended up doing grad school for XPhys in the first place. So yeah, I don't, that would probably be the most like pivotal moment for me. I don't think I realized how bad it was until I was out of it. I don't think I had a turning point of like, oh, this is really bad, or like my mental health is not okay. I don't think that existed until looking back and then being like, oh, you were fucked up.
I assume that's
kind of a
probably
blessing.
common. Like I feel like it's hard when you're in it.
Yeah, when you're in
I would
it.
imagine like to recognize like this is not healthy, and especially like you probably like yeah you wanted to be more shredded, but you were probably like I'm sure there was some body dysmorphia going on
For
there
sure.
too. Like you just did not realize how lean you were. And
Yeah.
I think that's a very common thing that a lot of people who get very lean, you go through this like you just want to keep getting
You've such
leaner
a
and
twisted
yeah,
idea,
at
and you
some
have such a
point you
twisted
can't.
idea, right, of what lean is. And my goal was like to be these bodybuilders who were stage lean, and there's like lifestyle fitness Joelle trying to achieve like bodybuilder stage lean, which like bodybuilder stage lean is not a healthy place to be or
You don't
stay.
live there.
Right, you can't live there, but that's what I like, that's what was realistic to me. Like I want to be that.
Because nobody was preaching the other stuff. Like, oh,
No.
I don't look like this 24 times
And
out of
even the
24.
bodybuilders that you followed at the time, like they weren't talking about
That's what I mean.
maintenance phases, and like, yeah, like even those people weren't talking about their off seasons. They weren't showing their bodies in their off seasons when they were gaining weight. Like people weren't sharing that stuff yet.
Well, I feel
Nope.
like also during that era, people were gaining, like it was shredded or you were carrying a good amount
King.
of extra fat. Like there was no healthy off season at that point, at least with the
Mm-hmm.
people that I remember following. Like it was either like I'm this fitness influencer, super shredded, and then like they would get very overweight and have to go through the whole thing again. And that's just like not a good way to live your life mentally or
Yeah.
physically. Like,
But yeah.
So on the
Then it
other
was
side
like
of things, go ahead,
bulking and
Joel.
dieting. I was just gonna say, then it was like bulking, dieting, bulking, dieting, bulking, dieting. And I was like through that for a few years too. And then I was like, this sucks. Like, can't I just live? Like, when do I get to just live my life? Thank God we're there now. But that, I mean, that took years.
mhm.
Listen, if you're tired of the all or nothing cycles, the diet starts Monday, the I know what to do, I'm just not doing it feeling, we should probably talk. Our one-on-one online coaching isn't just about workouts and meal plans. It's about building something that actually fits your life. No cookie cutter templates, no guilt, just real coaching and real results. Plus, we've got a pretty big team, so we can even pair you with an expert who actually understands your lifestyle because they've gone through it too. If that sounds like what you've been missing, check out the link in the show notes to apply for coaching. Then we'll send you the link to book a free, no obligation consult call with our team. There are no hard closes. We won't even take your credit card over the phone. You'll get the details to sign up on your own time. And more good news, we are in fact qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. One last thing, we even offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. What are you waiting for? Spots are limited, so apply today. All right, let's get back to the show. Yep. And from the other side of things, it's interesting. Not to say that a guy can't have a eating disorder where he's trying to lose, get shredded, or just be smaller. But I would say it's common. Forget like what's abnormal. Like a common situation is the guy always, unless they're significantly overweight, we always want to gain weight. They want to see a higher number on the scale. The scale number it's close, if not the same emotional effect as what you see in the mirror. For years, for whatever reason, my number was always 6'2", 225. I want to be 6'2", 225, 6'2", 225. And I would not be happy. I was never happy. In my best physique, I was not happy because my best physique was probably 185, where I was 7% body fat, pretty full, looked decent. But I'm like, this is 40 pounds off of where I need to be. So I need to go back to bulking, bulk, bulk, bulk. So at a point, this was 2014-ish. We're in San Diego. I'm like, I'm getting to this fucking number. I'm getting closer and I'm going to do it. So I'm eating 5,000 calories a day. I'm drinking 2 cartons of raw egg whites per day. I'm blending up 2 cups of oatmeal to drink with my protein shake with peanut butter, the Pop-Tarts before breakfast. 227 was my final destination. And I had one line down my abs, like not any kind of visualization outside of one line. So I'm like, nope, I'm still lean. This is fine. If looking back and seeing pictures, that is the epitome of fluffy Josh. I was not fat, but I was
You just looked like you looked like
Fussel.
what people would say, I'm inflamed right now, but you just you
well,
had
I felt inflamed. I can tell you that.
you were inflamed for other reasons, but you still had body fat that contributed to that. And I think that is a great point because a lot of people, even on freaking TikTok right now, it's like I don't even know what it is. It's some drink that's going around that's like a supplement that's like cortisol reducing or whatever. And I think it's just like magnesium or something so stupid. But like you see people talk about, oh, this decreased all my inflammation, and then they'll show a before and after picture, and they literally just lost body fat. Like you could tell they probably lost 20 pounds. And I'm like,
Or like they subbed drinking, a liter of Pepsi for a magnesium supplement with no calories, and like, oh wow, you cut out 300 calories, you put yourself in a deficit, and
oh,
now
you
you
feel
have
better? Wow,
result.
amazing.
Wow, yeah, shocking.
Yep. So it was just, it's one of those things psychologically. Like the guy always wants to gain weight, gain weight, gain weight. When if we just look at the numbers and the fact that most people are overweight at this point, like we need to cut first. Like cut, get to a healthy level, and then work on rebuilding slowly, which is that gaintaining phase that we're talking about, or a very slight surplus if you're at the ability to do so. And we're talking 14% body fat ideally. And like that's probably where I am now. I'm kind of at that crossroad. Like, do I want to get a little more shredded? If I do that, I know I'm going to be smaller than I want to be. So I'm still in this cycle to a point, but I can recognize it. And if I do bulk, it's not let's gain 10 pounds as fast as possible. It's like, okay, let me spend the next whatever period of time gaining a quarter pound a week so that I can maintain where I'm at body fat wise while I slowly build strength and muscle. But it was, first of all, for overall health, it was abysmal. And I was just stuck on this number. Forget looking in the mirror, forget measuring biofeedback. I had one sole purpose, and that was to see 225 on the scale. When I got to that point, I'm like, okay, I achieved this goal. I'm going to lose 10, 15 pounds and get ripped. I was not satisfied until I lost 50 pounds. So I spent all this time bulking to 227 pounds, only to then cut all the fucking way back down to 177 pounds. I literally lost 50 pounds to the point where I'm like, okay, now I'm happy because I have turtle shell abs and I'm yoked. But guess what? We just did this 100-pound cycle and I'm right back to where I started, yoked and small. So rather than...
You probably did cut down and had more muscle. Because typically, if you do kind of go through that building phase and cut, you are usually net positive a little bit of muscle. Like, and you get to a point where you're maintaining more muscle, or like a higher body weight, but leaner than usual.
Well, here's the kicker.
Yeah.
I cut more aggressively than I needed to. I was working with someone at the time, and I was not focused on performance whatsoever. I was simply accepting the fact that I can lose strength as I go throughout this because that's just what's going to happen. So had I today cut from 227 down to whatever the number was going to be, I would be doing it at a less aggressive scale nutritionally, and I would be making sure I continued getting stronger because I had all this extra body fat to work with the entire motherfucking time. So again, having a plan, understanding the right protocols to go about it, but it's something I know a lot of us struggle. So then you get into that cut bulk cycle and you end up at the same spot. I don't look any different in the middle of this road, in the middle of these transitions, because we're not strategic. Going back to number one, tracking data, following the plan, doing things the right way, spending time at maintenance. So I know we alluded to this at the beginning of this one. Maintenance does not mean remain the same. Maintenance calories means, your weight is going to remain similar, plus or minus 3 to 5 pounds, most likely. But you can continue to completely transform your physique and your performance at that threshold. So we call it gaintaining to put the positive psychological spin on that, because you can crush your goals, improve body composition, get stronger, run further, do all these amazing things. So for those of you who are starting in that middle ground, let's say, men, it's gonna be different for women, but men around that 14 to 16% body fat level where, I'm not huge, I'm not lean, what do I do? You can spend time at this maintenance threshold and just crush it in the gym. Push to that intensity we were just talking about in those workouts. Prioritize whole foods. Get rid of the ultra processed stuff. Clean everything up. And you can create an entirely different physique in the next 6 to 12 months while still feeling really good and fueling the right way and doing the right things and actually boosting your overall health.
But
All right, homies. Anything else you want to add before I keep cruising?
cruise.
Let's cruise. Next mistake, and we have all done it, if we're being honest with ourselves. Overspending on supplements. So what would we do if we were starting over? Spend way less money on supplements, but we can highlight some of the best. So what are your guys' favorite supplements right now?
Creatine and protein powder. Whey protein
Yep.
powder.
I would say creatine and whey for like bare basics. I do like a magnesium and a vitamin D. But other than that, like I used to waste so much money on like the fat burners and the L-carnitine and the CoQ10 and the just BCAAs and EAAs and just so many things that were so unnecessary, especially given the very, very, very nutrient dense, quote, clean diet that I was consuming. For me, when it comes to picking supplements, does it solve a problem for you? Does it alleviate a convenience issue for you? And is it in your budget? Like those are my kind of three questions. Like a whey protein, that's a convenience thing for me. That's a convenience buy for me.
It's also cost effective. Like,
yes,
$1.50 for a serving of protein.
Right. And then like creatine, that's solving a problem in the sense that like it's going to help with performance recovery, etc. So I always that's like what I would use to gauge is what I'm trying to say. You're like, does it solve a problem? Is it solve a convenience issue? And is it in budget? But yeah, those would be my top ones.
So when I was broke in college, all of my money went to supplements and booze and some weed. Mostly supplements and booze. $150 to $300 per month, depending on what I ran out of.
That was a lot at the time.
That was a lot at the time. That's like $500
That's
a
still a
month
lot now.
That's what I'm saying. You talk about cost of inflation. That's a $500, $600 run to the store, and I had no money. Like everything I made working at the gym was going to supplements and booze and a little bit of weed. And that stuff destroyed my health, like for one, but so unnecessary. I would just go down, read the labels at GNC. That was my favorite store to go to. Just walk into GNC. Oh, it can do this and this and this and this and this, and I'm taking HMB and all these other things that like there's nothing behind it. It's just marketing. I'm like, yep, that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want. Here's what we're gonna do. Slice that down to nothing at this point. Like again, I totally agree. Whey protein, creatine. I take an ADK just for optimal absorption and kind of balancing that out and
Same.
making sure calcium's going to the right place. And I think it's a magnesium, but potentially like if we're not eating any fish, a supplement for fish oil, something like that, get the omegas in. Not critical, but like over the top, maybe that's the last thing that I'd throw in. And that's something I've been doing an audit. I've been doing an audit on a lot of things when it comes to finances as we fully invest everything we're doing into Project B. But I'm like, do I need this? Do I need this? Do I need this? And even to this point, like I've taken, I'll take 10, 12, 15 pills a day. And I'm like, I don't need to keep reordering these. This was part of like my reoptimization protocol, fixing my gut and balancing hormones. I'm like, I feel good now. I can scale back and see if there's any change when I stop taking these. So a little trial and error. But still way under the threshold of what I was doing 10 years, whatever, however long ago that was, 12 years ago. So save your money, guys. Invest in new workout clothes and shoes and the fun, exciting things. If you have the money to throw at supplements, reallocate that. The next one. So this is the one that we kind of tip the episode off with, and the mistake that we often make, this the mistake I realized I have been making over the past couple weeks, is not understanding my true my revelation. If you guys have seen The Good Dinosaur, this is the pterodactyl who's telling his story to is it to the dinosaur or the kid? The kid can't talk, right?
We
The
haven't
caveman.
watched. I used to watch it all the time. We haven't watched it in a long time, but
I don't
it
even
is
know what
a
you're
great
talking about.
movie if you haven't seen it yet.
Relevation. I think it's revelation. Nope, it's relevation. So not understanding your purpose and fueling a real passion to come back to the show here. My mission, our mission, Project B, Levolution, the app right now, is to make the world a happy, healthy place. So the question I asked myself, because I knew I needed something to drive myself a little bit further, a little bit harder, to get back to the way that I used to train and the dedication that I used to have. And I'm still going through the motions. I'm still checking the boxes, but it felt a bit empty to me. Like, okay, I'm doing it, but it's okay if I'm not perfect, which it is. And you want to talk about balance. But this is kind of my recalibration of let's forget about balance for a minute. Let's like actually drive hard and see what the fuck we can do. So how do I take that mission of we want to make the world a happy, healthy place and apply it to myself? What can I do to myself personally? What goals can I apply that will lead to that? And the idea that I had come up with was, well, be the poster child for this thing. Be, the marketing campaign, a marketing campaign. Show that it works. And I am healthy and I'm happy and I felt better now in the last couple of years than I have in the majority of my life since way before I got sick. But that doesn't just come across on an Instagram ad. Like, oh, I could tell that guy feels better. Like something's working for that guy. You do. In this industry, you do have to look the part. So it has not been important to me aesthetic wise. I already got the trophy. I got the wife. I got the kids. I got the house. I got the businesses. Like there was no massive drive to like, I need to, put on my peacock fucking feathers. It doesn't matter. Like it's not, we're not there anymore. I'm not going to the bar looking for people.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody use that.
Peacock feathers?
Yeah.
Peacock feathers.
That's
I'm a
funny.
peacock. Gotta let me fly. Peacocks don't fucking fly.
What is that from?
The other guys, you guys got to get better with these movie references.
I don't
I'm
remember.
so glad that me and Alessandra are on the same page where we never understand a single one of Josh's references.
And I'm the one that watches them with him, and it's just I don't remember.
I don't think
things
we
like
ever
that.
watched the other guys.
Brant will quote things all the time, and I have no clue what he's talking about. I'm the worst person for movie references.
Anyway.
Well, anywho, just
Anyway.
getting back to that. So I can push myself so much harder. I can be committed to this thing. I have a purpose and a reason for taking it above and beyond this quote unquote balance, this fluffy version of myself, to get back to that elite level. Like I've been there before. I haven't had the reason to do so. So I'm giving myself that reason. So to kind of bring it back full circle, again, it's having that clear vision of why you're doing what you're doing and making sure that it's incredibly meaningful to you. Otherwise, when you miss that habit a couple of days, it doesn't matter. It has absolutely no impact on your life. There is no drive. There's nothing telling you saying, I am now set back a bit because I'm not working towards this thing. And again, for those of you who are already in a healthy place, you're happy, this balance works well for you, that's fine. But if you have this goal, you need to apply the meaning to it. I want to lose 50 pounds. I need to lose 50 pounds. This is why. It has to be a burning passion until you get to that point so that you compromise in these different areas until you get there. And then you can recalibrate and you can ebb and flow based on those phases of life that you're going through. But if something's truly important to you and you don't define why it is that important to you and you have this North Star consistently guiding you to do this thing, getting you up at 4:30 in the morning, getting that run in, getting the lift in, meditating, journal, whatever your checklist is, if there isn't a greater meaning applied to your checklist, you are going to find reasons and excuses to not follow through with it. And you might even crush it for 2 months, for 3 months, for 6 months, but you might be at 40% of your goal and be like, you know what, I need to step back because of. Well, you forgot what that passion was. You forgot what that drive was. And this is something that's I've really taken on recently. And it may not apply to everyone based on the phase of life that you're in. But for those who feel stuck and for those who feel like they may not have a true purpose, you need to redefine it, figure it out, and commit to it like it's the most important thing in the world. So you push through these barriers and accomplish those goals. Because otherwise, like we talk about with this cut bulk cycle, we tend to look back 3 years later and say, well, I'm in the same spot. Like, what was the point?
Yeah, I
I
was
think
just listening to Nick Bear podcast actually. He's one of the few podcasts that I listen to in this space of like he talks about
It's a good
business
one.
a lot too, but it is a lot of health and fitness related. I think it was the one with him interviewing Lucy Davis, who's like a high rocks. She's like at the top level of high rocks, but he was talking about how like he's not an elite level runner. He's not an elite level anything right now, but he treats himself and his training and his nutrition and his life
like he is.
as if he was an elite level athlete. And he just goes about life as if he was an elite level athlete. And I'm not saying that that's something everybody needs to do, but I think that's a mindset I can really relate to and resonate with over the years. Like, I'm not an elite level powerlifter. To Josh, I am, but to everyone else, I'm
Elite.
not. You know, I'm not trying to be at the top of anything, but I do show up every day as if I'm trying to be. And I think having that mindset really can make a difference in how you show up every day, but also just it makes it fun for me in a way. Like it makes it enjoyable, like I'm working towards something. And even if I don't have a specific goal set, which I do see what Josh is saying here, and I think it is important to tie that mission in somehow, like it just helps me stay with my head in the game versus just kind of going through the motions.
If you don't have that push, like when it gets hard, when you have 2 reps in you, but you say that's good enough, you're just going to put it down.
Yeah.
If you don't have that reason to go to that next level, you won't. It's just the natural human response is if I don't have to do that, I would rather stay a little more comfortable and not.
I think this is a helpful conversation because I think about even the clients of ours, like the one-on-one Levolution clients of ours who apply to work with us. And so often when someone applies to work with us, it's usually like we get them on a consult call and it's usually like when I'm on, but when I am off, I'm completely off. Like we hear that from clients all the time. Like they'll be in kind of couch potato mode, I'll just call it, for 6 months. And then they're like, okay, I'm going to sign up for a 5K and then that'll force me to start training for it. And then they're like, and then I'm so diligent with the training and I'm doing my runs and I'm following it. And then I do the 5K and then I go couch potato mode for another 6 months. It's like we know people do really well when they have that goal set. And Alessandra, even what you were saying before, like you're kind of getting that strength itch that's maybe wanting you to sign up for a competition because it gives more purpose to your lifting, gives you something to strive for in your lifting, and that feels exciting and fun for you. I think people do really well when they have that's very specific either performance goal or aesthetic goal. Where people fall off is the in between. Like, okay, so when I'm done losing the 50 pounds or when I finish the 5K or the marathon training, how can we figure out what your why is to keep going now that you don't have this bigger goal that, once you've achieved the outcome you want to achieve, what keeps you going after that? That's where I think is the sweet spot. That's where I think people really struggle. Because if you sign up for a marathon, like you're probably going to do the marathon training because like pretty much your life depends on it. But after that marathon, are you now not going to train for another year? Like, how do we prevent that? How do we prevent this like sprint mode to nothing mode, sprint mode to nothing mode? What type of goal do we have to set in between? I don't necessarily mean an aesthetic goal or a performance goal, but what Josh is talking about is like, what's your why outside of the race or the competition? What is your why to do this? And, Josh, your kind of big vision is make the world a happy, healthy place. How do I, as one person, make that happen? How can I take care of at least my role in making the world a happy, healthy place? Well, I could take care of myself. I could get to sleep on time. I could regulate my own emotions so that I'm not bringing my unhappy to other people and then making those people unhappy. Like, what is our role in this? So I think it's a helpful conversation. I think it's just food for thought for people to think about what their why is and what their mission is beyond just a performance goal or an aesthetic goal, because eventually you will probably reach that goal. And then what? It doesn't end there. Like your health can't end there.
That's a great point. And as you were saying that, I came to the thought of these different macro cycles, right? So different phases of training, different seasons of training. So right now, based on what I outlined in this current macro cycle, my goal is going to be to push my performance and my physique to the highest level that I possibly can. That is going to be my drive. Your reframing of once you achieve this goal, you run the race, you do the thing, what do you do in between? Now I feel like that is this balanced approach we just talked about. So what is the why behind this balance? Because balance was the problem to begin with in the situation I just outlined. Well, the balance and the why for that is to be the best father I can be, to be the best partner in business I can be, to be the best husband I can be. So to do those things, I have to continue to take care of my health, my training, my nutrition, my mindset, my movement, my habits, the L5 method. They're just applied a little differently when the macro cycle is crush performance and physique and overall health versus be the best for all these other areas and take care of myself. So that's where, okay, I'm not training 6 days a week, 90 minutes a session. I'm not on this restrictive diet. I'm not doing these things, but I'm checking those boxes. So it's 4 days a week. It's 30 minutes a session. I'm not tracking, but I'm prioritizing whole foods. I'm meditating every day so that I continue to look good, feel good, appreciate myself, and have more to give to those around me. So finding the why regardless is critical.
I heard someone
find
mention
that this is often why people struggle with pregnancy so much and pregnancy exercise so much, is because if you were somebody who was an athlete beforehand, or you had these performance and very aesthetic based goals all the time, then you get pregnant and it's like, well,
what's the
I'm not
point?
really focusing on aesthetics right now, and maybe performance just doesn't seem feasible for you at the time either. It's like you have this whole identity shift of like, I don't know how to show up, so I'm not going to show up at all. And we see that so frequently with people when they get pregnant, is they stop exercise completely, or they stop focusing on nutrition completely. They stop their healthy habits that they're doing on a daily basis, maybe because they don't feel well and they have to, or maybe it is on the mental side. But I think in that realm of things, that's just a great example of finding a way and why to show up when life happens like that, because you have to. I mean, if you don't have a aesthetic or performance based goal during pregnancy, you need to figure out your other reasons to make it happen. And if you don't, then it's going to be really easy to just blow off all of it completely.
I
Growing
heard
these
someone
little
say on
superhumans.
I heard someone say on a pod, maybe it was on a podcast, maybe it was a reel. I actually don't remember, but I heard someone say this the other day. Don't know
Someone
where.
said this, I think.
Someone said this somewhere on some piece of the internet. They were saying that exercise should be viewed as hygiene, like brushing your teeth, taking a shower. Like it is a bare minimum. I don't want to say bare minimum. It is a foundational, that's a better word. It is a foundation to your health. So if you are not exercising, that should be viewed as not brushing your teeth, not showering. Like you are not taking care of yourself. And like we get it from we know that's easier said than done standpoint. People have busy lives and they have kids and all. But again, bringing it back to this conversation of like, what's your why? Because when you are healthier and you take care of yourself, you can take better care of everything and everyone else around you. You could do better work, more creative focus, better mood, better to your kids, more patient with your spouse. Like it bleeds into everything in a good way. And when you don't take care of yourself, that also bleeds into everything in a not so good way. But I was like, I like that
100%.
reframe of exercise being a part of your hygiene. I was like, I like that.
That's cool. I dig it. All right, guys, next mistake. Considering your workout the only activity needed for the entire day. And this, when I was still taking the discovery calls with new clients or prospective clients, this was one of my biggest things that I would drive home. I'm like, you can be training 6 days a week, 90 minutes a session, but if you go from the gym back to the office desk and you come home and you read a book, or maybe you watch a Netflix episode before bed and then you're unwinding with the kids and you're reading books there, and then you're sipping tea on the couch with your spouse, none of those are necessarily bad for you, but you sat the entire rest of the day. So you can be training 6 days a week, moving 3,000 to 4,000 steps a day, which sounds really low, but it is very common. Some people don't even hit that threshold.
Yep.
And be living a sedentary lifestyle. Let me say that again. Training 6 days a week and living a sedentary lifestyle. It's not even on our radar because we're in the gym 6 days a week, but it's a fact if we are not moving. So we need to remember to prioritize that movement outside of the gym. The lunchtime walk or the morning walk or the evening walk before or after dinner with the family. Like just move. Go for the hikes on the weekends. Get some extra steps. If you noticed, I was still doing some things, but I'm coming in a little lower than I'd like during the week. Bump that average up in some capacity, but keep it on your radar. That's the most important thing. We talk about this all the time. Through awareness, we create change. Well, the awareness is if we are not moving enough and we're only going to the gym and then back to a sitting position, we have something we need to address.
And we have all been in that stage of life. Mostly,
yeah.
I will say pre-kids because
Yeah.
I feel like now I don't even have to try to hit 10,000 steps. Like I could not go for a single walk in a day and he'll still hit 10,000 steps because of chasing babies and whatever else is going on. But pre-kids for sure. Like I think about when we lived in our like 1-bedroom apartment in New York City and Brant and I would go to the gym. And then like if it was a Saturday or Sunday, we just straight up on the couch watching Netflix the rest of the day. I could have like 3,000 steps for a day.
Yeah.
But like I lifted for an hour. So like, woohoo, go me, I'm
And
active.
that's living
but then
in New York City where you walk everywhere, like
yep.
granted
Yep.
you weren't going anywhere those
But if I
days,
didn't take myself for a walk or like other than my walk to and from the gym, like I could not move the rest of the day. That changed a little once we got a dog, obviously. But
still,
yeah,
it's
like
very easy to keep that number low. And I think a lot of people right now are having a little bit of a wake up call if you have an Aura ring because they like reprogrammed their
calibrated the step.
algorithm or whatever. So everyone's steps have dropped. And like my mom even said it, I notice it on my
I
Aura
haven't
ring.
updated mine, so mine are still high. And I'm like, I'm just gonna not update mine.
Living in La La
You're
Land over
cheating,
there.
Joelle.
My steps are higher.
But no, a
I
lot
am
of
elite.
a lot of people are really upset about it, but I think it's a good wake up call. It'll hopefully help you or force you rather to move a little bit more. But I think what was I going to say? Oh, I feel like there is a very short time frame where I fell into this category, and it was definitely like pre-kids in the thick of like growing our business in the early days. We were doing a lot of computer work, and like I also worked in the office at the time, so I was just sitting a lot more. But even like when I lived with my parents, like before we got our apartment, my dad and I would hike like 3 times a week. Like we would that was peak powerlifting, and we would hike 3 times a week. And I was doing like sprints at the track just because I had all this free time without children.
I wonder what
Um,
that's like.
and I remember like that was probably like my most active phase of life. But I think a lot of people still to this day get in the mindset of I need to walk on the treadmill or I need to, go for a specific walk. You can go out for a hike. You can go do different things. Like just be more aware of like actually getting up out of a chair and like even moving around your house. Like Josh would literally pace on the phone for these consult calls back and forth in our tiny little office.
For
And
hours.
he would have so many steps just from pacing back and forth within the same like 3 foot radius. So there are options here, and it doesn't have to be like walk outside your house or walk on a treadmill. It can be so many different things. And yeah, that was just my point
It
there.
actually got to the point where if I wasn't moving, even if it was back and forth, literally 3 steps, I forgot what I was supposed to say. I couldn't sit and have a conversation. Like my brain was so programmed to, okay, we pace back and forth when we do this. It just became that habit, and it sounds silly now. We've got the walking desk treadmill thing, so it's a little less ridiculous than walking in this tiny square footage. But
That's
do
how
what you
I
gotta
was.
do.
That's how I was for consult calls until COVID hit. And then Brant and I were both working from home in our 1-bedroom apartment and both on calls all the time. And so one of us would lock ourselves in the bedroom because we needed to shut a door because we're both on calls and you like hear each
great.
other on your calls. So like one of us would be in the kitchen, one of us would be in the bedroom, and we just, yeah. In the whole apartment's only 500 square feet to begin with. So like you're in a bedroom that's deep,
I
like
remember.
You needed that little trampoline.
take my calls like this.
You're like
What's
out of
that
breath.
noise? Nothing.
Why are you breathing so hard?
But yeah, I don't think we ever got so little steps as that phase of life. I mean, I think we went for a lot more walks, but that was rough.
I'm sure many people can relate to that though. But yeah, I think a way to make this fun though. I mean, as much as people hate on activity trackers, I love like making it a game. Like focus on your steps every day, whether it's an Oura ring or a Garmin or an Apple Watch. Like
Or your phone. Your phone probably does it
close your ring. Yeah, you can close your rings on your phone, right? Isn't that a thing with Apple? I haven't had an Apple Watch in so
On your
long. I don't
watch. Yeah, maybe it's on your phone too, just on like the Apple Health or
the
something.
health part.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you gamify it and make it like a literal challenge with yourself every day, it can be a fun little activity that you do.
Yep.
All right, guys, those were our 5. I'll give you a quick little recap. Track data, follow a plan. That was number 1. Spend more time around maintenance. We call it gaintaining. That was number 2. 3, spend way less money on supplements. Simply choose the most effective for you. And that doesn't have to be just the 3 or 4 that we outlined. Like if you notice different ones make you feel well, stick with those. But don't feel like you got to take everything under the sun because you are pouring your money down the drain. Number 4, have a clear vision of why you're doing what you're doing. Make sure it's meaningful to you. And that's going to help you stick to those habits so much stronger. And the last one was prioritizing movement outside of the gym. There is a reason why that is its own pillar in the L5 method, because it is that critical. It is a foundation of health and wellness. One thing to leave you guys with, and you guys have been awesome about this. You've been doing so much better. Love seeing these come through and the little blurbs you guys put out. But if you listen beyond 3 episodes, we have a 3-episode rule. We just ask that you leave us a quick 5-star review. If you want to write a little something with that, that's great. If not, just click the 5-star. It takes 10 seconds. You can pause it right now and do it if you keep forgetting. Tag us on social media, share the episodes. We love to start those conversations as well. And the reason being, this is a free podcast. We're not asking you to help us make more money. This is a free resource we provide. We refer clients to if they need the extra help or they want something else to listen to that's productive. Those who can't work with us, they don't want to use the app. They don't want to do coaching at the moment. We refer them over to this. We have freebies on the site, but this is something that we want to connect with you guys on. Make it more personal. Tell you our stories. What's made the biggest impact. So by you sharing this, by you leaving a review, it allows someone else to reach this episode, this podcast to reach somebody else. If you're listening beyond those 3 episodes, the reason it's a 3-episode rule is you've probably found some value from this. So if you're at that point, we ask that you share that value with somebody else, grow the community. We're out here trying to make the world a happier, healthier place. This is one of the main tools that we have to do so. And just to give you guys some context, you have really stepped it up in regards to leaving the review if you haven't over the last month. And we are climbing the rankings. Like we are growing very quickly. We've been hovering in the top 50 in the US for fitness podcasts. And that's because of you guys. It's because you're listening. It's because you're sharing it. So if you haven't yet, we would greatly appreciate it. Love you. We thank you for being here. And this is how we make this a team effort. That's your role in this community. We'll keep showing up for our part. All we ask is you show up for yours. Where can they find you?
I'm at Alessandra Skutnik.
At Joelle Samantha.
I'm at Josh Skutnik. And a reminder, we are just 3 idiots with a mic. We're going to put that on a shirt, Joelle.
Deal.
Everything else is linked in the show notes.